Hi, I'm Zwin, and I'm from Canada, in case anyone was wondering. And my project was on K-Wave, which was uh, toolbox in MATLAB to simulate ultrasound for optimal intravascular device frequencies, and trying to create a simulation in K-Wave to mimic the behaviors of IBIS within realistic environments such as those within blood vessels and those of plaques. So why would I be doing this? I'll be going on to the introduction. Firstly, I started my journey by looking at cardiovascular diseases, as they were the leading cause of death worldwide, accounting for 17.9 million deaths, or 32% of all deaths in 2019. It has been a wide issue that constantly needs more research to look at preventions or to try and call this number. And so the rupture of atherosclerotic plaques, which contains buildups of materials like fats and cholesterol within blood vessels, has been a major cause of cardiovascular diseases. It can cause blockages within blood vessels, or these materials can then lead into the hearts, causing further issues. And so currently, the major diagnosis process is angiography. However, this can only give a general overview of vessel structure because it cannot give more meticulous examinations within plaques, such as size or shape, instead giving an overview of vessel structure and position. Conversely, IVUS, also known as intravascular ultrasound, is a catheter-based diagnostic device that can use echo-pulsed ultrasound instead to image within arteries rather than angiography, which is external, that can create more detailed images towards the location of interest. This is often used with angiography. Once angiography can locate the general location of the plaque, IVUS can be used to get a more detailed image. As you can see in the first image, the catheter can be inserted within a blood vessel, and as it gets pulled back, the catheter and emits ultrasound waves in a rotating fashion. They can both emit ultrasound as well as receive ultrasound signals, and sending those signals towards a computer external to the body, which can create images for the doctor to get a better look at the plaque. And so what type of images would they get? We can see on the left here, we have a ground truth with two different frequencies of ultrasound waves. These are produced from IVUS devices. So what we can see here is that ultrasound frequencies can create higher image resolution with higher frequencies, while it suffers stronger attenuation, while lower frequencies, such as the 30 megahertz, can give a better view of the entire blood vessel, while it is less defined. So you can see here, it can give clear edges to show the doctor the shape of the plaque, but it cannot show as much image as the 30 megahertz. And so this has been a major issue within IVUS devices since its creation. Recently, multi-frequency IVUS devices have been in research and in production to overcome this obstacle by combining a low and high frequency transducer together to make up for each other's issues. However, the cost of physical experimentation can be large, as both the devices and its surroundings model environments and creates costs, which many promising researchers face as obstacles in their research. And so our project takes the first step in trying to develop a simulation to mimic IVUS imaging on different image targets as well as different frequencies, as to overcome this cost of physical models. For our method, we built it off of a K-Wave toolbox in MATLAB, which was designed for time domain acoustic simulations in complex and tissue realistic media. This is perfect for ultrasound, as well as mimicking media within the body, such as atherosclerotic plaques and blood vessels. So, which is why we chose this for the IVUS simulation. First, we created a simulation background and then defined the target parameters, which is plaque shape and size, as well as density. We created the transducer size, and then set the ultrasound frequency of this transducer, which was the IVUS catheter. And then we can run the signal, and then create images from this simulation. And so we can see from these images, essentially what the program was doing. This transducer simulates the catheter of this IVUS device as it pulls back in individual steps. We can see that it emits these ultrasound waves in yellow and in different colors based on its intensity. And as it hits these invisible plaques, essentially these denser areas simulating plaques, it will reflect these waves back at the transducer, and through multiple steps as it goes on in the simulation, it creates a holistic image of the entire surroundings. And so the intensity value of the reflected ultrasound signal, as well as the time it takes to reflect, essentially creates a spreadsheet of values that can be translated to the brightness of these black and white images you can see below here. And so we see that this reflects what we expected. On lower frequencies, we have a greater area of the image that we can notice. Here we have a circle, and here we have 3 rectangles. It is very blurry, however. While higher frequencies become much clearer, you can see clear edges and a stronger signal on the top with weaker signals on the bottom, showing that there isn't as much penetration to these ultrasound waves, much like the images in real life. And so this essentially validates fundamental processes that we were trying to look at within our simulations to determine whether or not it can actually work for more realistic media and for its applications towards simulating realistic media as a substitute. And so in conclusion, we developed this numerical simulation to mimic IVUS imaging, demonstrated its image capacity on different shapes with different mechanical properties, such as density, as well as studying the impact of frequency on image quality. And for future work, we would try and look at higher frequencies, a better range of frequencies. However, currently due to hardware limitations, higher frequencies requires higher processing powers, which would take too long. So if we did have access, we would try to look at this range of image quality based on a larger range image frequencies of ultrasound frequencies, as well as trying to create a more user-friendly interface that can be used with a wider audience trying to utilize this similar simulation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Zewen. What an amazing job. Let's see if we have any questions from the audiences. So I do see this is a little bit this topic is very, professional work. I can see from this amount of work. How long have you been working on this research?
So the entire process actually took longer than what is presented here, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Essentially, when I was initially looking at cardiovascular diseases and IVUS, I was going down different routes. I won't go too deep into it. However, we realized that trying to look for data online, like medical records, there wasn't as many, which is how we came to this idea of creating the data ourselves by creating a simulation to compare image quality rather than trying to find data failing online. So in total, maybe half the year to 3/4 of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is impressive. And also for this research, I can see like it's not just for biology because mainly you're doing the simulation work, right? So can you tell us a little bit about like what is the biggest challenge when you are working on this research?
Yeah, of course. So as you said, my passion is biology. However, I think the reason that I was attracted to simulation work so much was just during the process, I was kind of amazed by the ability of the potential of simulation work. And so since it was kind of out of my field, since I'm more of a science interested individual, I think I took computer science courses before, but it was more my mentor who was more familiar with simulation work. And so he did help me a lot with getting more familiar. Like he introduced me to K-Wave and helped me get familiar with its functions and how to start my simulation code. And that became pretty big.
That is fascinating. Thank you, Zolan. And also for the sake of time, let's move on to our third presenter, Jiatong Chen. She is from Beijing and her research is about assessing surfactant absorption during disinfection process. So this is a chemistry related project. Zolan, you can feel free to and share your poster so Jiatong can get started with sharing. Thank you, Zolan.